Hey guys, this is the ViperStealth. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. I've got a very interesting one for you this time round. I've changed my clan recently, ever since day one, ever since I was level 4. I created a clan and I've been in there for about 1500 hours. But I decided to switch it up and join a clan which was dedicated towards PvP. And naturally I came across all of the shotgun metas that were driving me mad. But in all fairness, you can't hate the player. You know, if you're going to hate the shotgun build, you've got to hate the game, not hate the player, because they're just using one of the builds that is in a game. So, you know, fair play. But I decided to come up with a meta which is kind of counter shotgun build. Now this meta that I've come up with isn't really fantastic at 1v1 versus the shotgun build, but if we've got a team of 4 shotgunners versus 3 shotgunners and this build, I would choose the latter. I would choose the 3 shotgunners and this build. So let's get straight into it. If you do enjoy this, do like and share it with someone that you think might be interested in this. But what I'm running with is quite interesting. There's multiple facets to this build. So this is the build. I've got just shy of 500k armor, and I'll go through all of the various little intricacies with you now. So the first thing that I should talk about is a 4-piece True Patriot. Now this is a squad support build. It's entirely, I'm not the star of the show here. This is for me trying to make the people in my squad the heroes. So all of those shotgunners that are experienced PvP players, I want to keep them up. If they stay up, we win. It's as simple as that. So that's why I've gone 4-piece True Patriot, which seems quite heavy. Just to recap the True Patriot abilities, 10% armor for 2, which is nice. You apply loads of debuffs to the enemies, which is really handy. So you can apply red, white and blue debuffs to the enemy. They get a little flag above their heads. The red decreases the damage dealt by the enemy, white restores armor, and blue boosts all skill haste of friendlies that shoot the enemy. So all of these debuffs apply to the enemy, which is really nice. But the 4, which is quite interesting, is anyone dealing damage to an enemy that has the full flag, so all 3 debuffs on them, does 50% extra damage to all agents nearby. So if you've got a team of 4 shotgunners that are all chicken dancing running around, and one of them's full flag, and then I light up little flags on the others, my team will just focus the full flag guy, and that'll actually do damage to all of the other guys. So that's nasty in itself, and that's why I go 4-piece True Patriot. Next up, we've got the Pestilence and the LMG here. So my average damage on these is 30k. So my M60 is 32k, and my Pestilence hits for just over 28k. So very good average damage on my LMGs. I'm achieving this damage from all of these little red mod slots that I've got here. They've all got like 5 or 6% LMG damage, and also on the gloves I've got a decent amount of LMG damage there as well. You can get 13 if you craft lovely gloves, and you can put it onto here. I still need to do that, but decent damage for both LMGs. One of the big things about this build is the Pestilence LMG. So it hits pretty hard. I think 28k for Pestilence is respectable. It's nothing to be laughed at, but the talents here is what really sets it apart and helps the squad. So the shotgun builds, a lot of them rely on hive boosters and healing. They've got seeker, mending mines and all sorts. And the Plague of Outcasts is a very interesting ability. So after you repeatedly hit the same enemy, it sets the Plague of Outcasts on the enemy. And the Plague of Outcasts is basically, there's a couple of things here. When you kill them, they explode in a puff of yellow smoke, and if you touch that smoke, it does 1000% damage, and that's even 1000 in the dark zone. So an enemy walking into that, even if they're at full health, they just melt. So that explosion is pretty nice as the shotgun builds all playing together. The second one, which is possibly more important, is the debuff for healing. So it halves their healing. So if you've got things like a clutch build, if you've got shotgun builds that are relying on big healing, this Pestilence debuff on their health is just nasty. Now the enemies can get away from this. They can get the Pestilence debuff off them by getting back to full health. But normally they've got shotgunners shooting at them, me just peppering shots at them, and their healing is majorly screwed up. They put on an armor pack and they're just not getting the armor that they're expecting, and they go down a lot quicker. So this Pestilence is nasty. If I do run out of ammo and they're pushing me, I just switch over to the M60 and I gun them down, because it's doing 32k damage, which is pretty cool. On the sidearm, you've got a few options here, but I go for protected reload. I haven't got any instant reloading on these, so it takes a little while to do that. So while I'm reloading, I do get 10% bonus armor. So just shy of 50k armor when I'm doing that. So those are the 2 shotguns. Now let's talk about the heals. So keeping the team up is possibly the most important thing of this build, and I've got healing here. So there's a number of ways you can do this, but I've gone for the technician specialization, and I've gone for the Hive. The Hive's on 3k skill power, and with the Hive it's quite straightforward. I've gone for charges, radius and healing. So get ready for this. I've got 49 charges in the Hive. So when I drop the Hive down, I can sustain a big long manhunt, and this just trickles up the healing of my team, doing 30k healing, you know, a pop. And it's got a 60 meter range. So if you guys are familiar with the 60 meter range, it's huge. It's really, really big. So that way it just keeps my team up gunning and, you know, healing nicely. So that healing is very good. Next, Seekers. So I have got almost 3k Seeker damage, so 3k skill. What I've gone for though is not so much damage. I've got 1 damage mod, but I've got 2 skill haste mods. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm putting the Seekers onto less than a 15-second cooldown. And why I want that is because I've got Spark on my bag, and the Spark ability is damaging enemies with skills or explosive grant 15% damage for 15 seconds. So these Seekers cooling down every 15 seconds proc Spark. But there's another benefit here. So the other benefit is that every time these Seekers explode, Necromancy from the Technician specialization kicks in, and it gives me 20% bonus armor every time the Seekers explode. So I just keep an eye while I'm shooting on the Seekers, and when they're ready, out they go. They do a little bit of tiny damage to the enemies. They proc Spark and they give me 20% bonus armor. There is another benefit to these Seekers. Now my teammates, a lot of them might use shotgun builds occasionally, and when they do use shotgun builds and when they're going up against shotgun builds that are always running around doing chicken dancing, these Seekers stagger them. And when the enemy are staggered for like a couple of seconds, that's enough for my team just to lay in loads of shots in that person. It really slows them down and allows them to isolate these players that are dancing around, you know, doing crazy stuff. So hopefully you can see that this is nasty. You've got like 4-piece True Patriot here, but what I've gone for also is high armor and high total percentage armor. You could use Berserk if you wanted to, but I've used Vigilance because I'm kind of outside of the action. I'm on the back line, so I shouldn't be taking too much damage. If you do want to be a bit more upfront and in their face, you can do Berserk. But personally, I want to keep my team healthy with the heals, and I want to apply the healing impact for the enemy team. So I want to stay alive, so I hang back with Vigilance. With the bag, there's no real kind of surprises here. You want Gila for the total armor, and just loads of armor, so hardened, total armor and armor volume. So that kind of stuff works well for that. There is a couple of things you could change if you wanted to. So if you didn't want to be as squad support heavy, if you did want to be at the start of the show a little bit, what you could do is put like a Hollow Man mask on your mask to get 100% status effect immunity. So that would be useful. And you can also go for like Petrov gloves, and that'll give you 10% from the band bonus, and you can roll 13% damage onto those. So there are like a couple of options that you can use with this, but that is essentially it. You're hanging just behind the front line. You throw your Hive maybe on top of a car so that the heals get to everywhere. You're constantly dropping these Seekers less than every 15 seconds, and you're just peppering the enemy with shots just to completely screw with their heals. Stay healthy, you know, don't try to finish off that last guy. Let your team do it. Get back, heal up. This is completely squad support, and it just really wrecks the enemy's meta. So that's essentially it. I've been having so much fun with this build in the Dark Zone. Do check it out because it is a real game changer if you're with a competent squad. If you've enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share it with someone that you think would get benefit from it. But this is ViperStealth. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.